Hello. It's Friday. I got lost down a rabbit hole. I got lost completely down a rabbit hole. So I was looking at old Ronnie. I can't hear you. Can't hear you. What? What?
Apologies. Did I miss something? Am I late?
Yes. Yeah. No, not at all. No, I went down a rabbit hole. I was looking at old two Ronnie commercials, and they were making me laugh so much. They were just cracking me up. And then I suddenly looked at the time and I thought, oh,
and it's good afternoon from him.
Well, I've got to do something clever, which will fail miserably.
Doesn't suit.
No, well, yeah, thank you. Shut your face. I know that, but oopsie, I know that, but I've got to try and make it go live on Instagram. So, I'm going to fiddle around.
Clever.
Well, yeah, I know. No, I know. Right, give me a sec, and I'll keep talking. You keep talking, and that'll be marvelous.
Okay, I can keep talking.
I'm here. By the way, I'm here. Oh yeah.
No, I can see you. Well, I don't know. I'm supposed to be listening.
Oh, great. Now, how do we? Where do we press this?
Oh, do you like the look? I'm going a bit casual today. It's just waistcoat.
I'm very excited. I'm very, very excited. Yeah.
I decided, even for my standards, it was a bit spitz to wear.
A bit hot. Yes, hot.
Don't get me wrong. I do enjoy the attire and being
the attire. Well, why won't this go? Oh my God, I hate this stream key. Copy.
I'm guessing you don't like technology very much.
I hate tech. You know I hate technology. Why would I like technology? All I got to do is press go live, but I can't find the button.
You know, someone was talking to me earlier on today about.
Oh God, those poor sod.
No, I know. Someone was talking to me earlier on today
or something
about classic radio and the way that it used to be, and sort of the difference between sort of when, shall we say, how can I put it delicately?
Delicately.
Well, when you and I would have, say, started versus sort of what we've wound up with now. But yeah, it's all very, I don't really completely understand, but yeah.
Okay. Up there. Keep going.
Keep going?
Yes, keep talking. I'm trying to do this. What about? Go on, I'm listening.
Oh.
I'm all agog.
I was just feeling, I think we're just being a bit nostalgic, really, to be honest with you. And just sort of saying that if you compare about how things used to be, it just feels like a very long time ago when people used to turn up to a radio studio, had almost free run to just talk. You know, remember that? It was just voice, never had any of this visual.
I don't remember. Nothing me.
I like it. Believe me, I've always thought that the idea of visual, obviously I work for a station that's very much visualized radio, so of course I'm in favor of it. But it just seems that it's a long time ago where we didn't have to worry about visuals as well. And it was just the whole concept of talking, frankly.
Yeah.
And using one's voice as this way of entertaining people. And just, I don't know, that the voice alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
I actually think is quite intense. You know, if you're just literally, if you think about it, just turn on the radio, right? And just listen.
Yeah.
And the kind of images it invokes, I think, is amazing. Right?
Yeah, it's your friend. We don't get that,
but we don't get that anymore if it's visualized, because then suddenly your imagination has been taken away from you. You don't need to use any creative juices, so to speak, because it's all there for you. If you've actually got something in front of you that you can see and is tangible, well, suddenly, therefore, it's totally takes on a different meaning. Do you know what I mean?
You're very deep today.
I am. Sorry, I'm feeling great.
Have you been at the Pullwins? First thing.
No, I haven't. But I'm wondering, and maybe we'll just do a new section called philosophical.
You took the word. I was about to go philosophic, but that's good.
There you go.
Hello there, Em. Hope you're well. Emma Webb there, Robert
Buren. Haven't seen you for ages. Hello.
No, I know. And you know who we never see anymore? Andrea Lucas. Andrea Lucas used to be on the show all the time.
Oh,
what's happened?
We scared her off.
I think you said something rude.
Excuse me. When have I ever said anything rude?
Just the way you say hello. It comes up to me, says hello. I said hello.
Passive aggressive. Hello.
Now.
Oh dear, this is not good. Okay, so this is visual. Okay.
Last night
I might have been on air. And the producer said to me, just literally sort of handed some paper towels. And I thought, why? I haven't spilled any water. What are you doing? Anyway, and then he used talkback. So this is the thing where they speak to you in your ear. You don't hear this, but they use the thing in your ear to talk to you.
They go like, "You suck," and you're trying to be
I'm
really
used
good.
to that. It
Yeah.
said,
"Hey, Phil, you smell
Phil,
like poo," and
no,
you're trying
you
to
ready
be
for this? He said,
Sorry.
"Phil, you're looking a bit shiny. Now you're off camera. Can you dab down a bit?"
Uh-oh.
What? Looking shiny? And
What's
anyway, I looked at the reflection, and actually, I was looking very shiny. And I'm looking shiny now. I'm like a bit like a walking beacon.
Do you realize that on an episode of Seinfeld, that would have been the whole episode? Shiny? What's with the shiny?
Oh,
I don't get it. That would have been great. Emma Webb, don't worry, life happens. Yeah, whether you want it or not. So I see they've invented monkeypox again then.
No, Mpox now. It's gone trendy. It's
Mpox. You know why? Somebody said to me on Facebook today, because I did a post about it, and they said, take out the K. You're thinking about it, aren't you? Do you want me to help you? Moneypox.
No, I got it.
I thought it was better than that. I'd be honest with you. I thought it was better than that. I thought it was better.
Wow.
Well, Graham Pack says this. I originally figured, well, he is 6'5". What's the matter with you?
Well, I'm something similar. I'm 5'6", but
you're 5'6". Hearing only voices, no visuals allow one to use imagination. Radio plays can be. I like radio plays a lot. Audiobooks, of course. Seeing people who play can be strange. Many of the Archers characters that don't look like the way I envisage their characters, says Leslie Demiza. Well, here's the thing. I imagine before we had all this hybrid of television and radio, because the technology makes it affordable, and you, with your real work, pioneered all that at Talk TV, etc., that it never had before. I always wondered, what did the pirate radio jocks look like? I had no idea. And it was a shock when you saw them. I imagined Graham Dean, who I'd listened to for years before I saw a photo of him, then of course met him and he became a pal. We worked together completely differently. Totally.
Isn't Graham Dean one of the nicest guys?
Graham? Yeah, unless you're having dinner with him or lunch.
Oh.
Because he's so slow. He's just so slow.
Oh, I see. I thought you meant he turned into some sort of diva or something.
No. He's too slow. It drives me mad. I just order and get on with it, and I leave him. I'm already having my coffee. Oh, I don't know. Shall I have? What do you think? I'm going, bah. The mind is the greatest theater of the mind. No two ways. I love audiobooks. I have audiobooks on all the time, and I'm imagining the characters and listening. Audio plays, they're fabulous. Radio plays, fantastic. It's great. Graham Dean looked like Bambi. Probably just after Bambi got the bad news. That's what.
Can I say, speaking of bad news, by the way?
Yes, I know you're going to. I was going to give you some breath. I
don't want to bring the tone down.
No, you're going to. I don't know this fellow, so I'm going to shut the hell up. And
I know that you have seen it, but yeah, just a really quick. I just wanted to sort of say that it's a very troublesome week for us at Talk Towers, because it's not, of course, just Talk. There are many other stations here, and a good station takes an army of engineers to be able to keep us going, to prop us up, and to just make sure that we stay on air. And this week we found out that one of our own had, even though he'd actually left about a year ago, he'd sort of moved on to another job. I don't even know if it was as long as a year ago, but whenever it was a while back that he had left the company. Found out this week that he had rather suddenly and horrendously, tragically died. And the reason for it was he was involved in a motorbike collision.
Yeah, he was riding his bike to work, apparently.
Yeah, and I have to say that so there's still this overwhelming cloud of just disbelief here, because a nicer chap you couldn't hope to meet, and not to mention talented. My God, I mean, he put Bill Gates to shame. Seriously, one of the most talented engineers that you will ever happen across in your life, and I just can't believe that such a waste has such a waste.
He did look old. I never met him, but
31.
Jesus.
So yeah,
he was 31.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So it is. It really is very hard to comprehend, because it's like I said, it's really strange, because even though he hasn't worked here for probably a year or so now, it doesn't matter. That's the kind of impact someone has in this place. Is that if you're that good and you're that capable, it doesn't matter if you've left a year ago. You're still one of us, if you like. And
well,
it's
the point that
very,
you're making,
very hard to comprehend.
Point you're making as well is there are a lot of people who aren't very good at their job, and somehow they've got there. I'm not talking about where you are, because it's pretty tight ship, but we've all worked with people who are lazy or incompetent or whatever. So when somebody really shines, 31, Christ, that's horrible.
So yeah, so there's.
I'm so sorry. I could see you were very upset on your post. As I said, I'd never met him. So
I'm terribly shell shocked by it. I'm not going to lie about that. I think upset seems like a privilege. It's to only have if you know someone that well. I feel like a bit of a fraud to say the word upset.
Why?
Because I don't know. I know it sounds
because
bizarre.
there's a balance.
I don't necessarily know if I have the right to be upset for someone who I wasn't necessarily that close to, but I knew reasonably well.
Okay. Did you? All right. Did you ever meet John Lennon? I'm going to answer for you. No. No. All right. I don't know. I'll pick it. All right. Let me answer it this way. Did I ever meet John Lennon? No. Did I ever see the Beatles play live? Yes. Was I upset when John Lennon was shot dead? Yes. Do I have the right to be upset? Yeah. But I'm not going to cry. One thing I do not like, and I think you've opened the door to this, is jumping on the pity wagon. Jumping on the pity wagon, I loathe. Somebody dies and you really don't know them and they had no influence on your life whatsoever. And, it's a tragedy. Oh, come on. Come on. People die all the time. And what a lot of that does is, look at me, I'm so empathetic. I'm such an empathetic person. I didn't know this person from a hole in the wall, but I'm going to go on and on about it on social media to show what a fabulous person I am. No, that makes me puke. But you have every right to be upset.
Well, look, I'll
give you another example. I used to have coffee when I lived in North London, when I lived in Mill Hill, right, which is an area in North London. If you're watching this in America, it would mean nothing to you. And I'd sit and have a coffee, and I'd sit outside a place called Sapori. I don't think it exists anymore. And there was a lovely guy. I used to see him during the week, and we'd chat. We weren't friends. We never socialized, but we'd meet. If we happened to be at the coffee shop at the same time, we'd chat, right? And he was a travel writer. And he was in Morocco. There was a bomb in the main square, and he died. He was the only person to die. It was the guy who used to sit at the next table to me having coffee, right? I was upset. Did I have the right? Wasn't my personal friend. We'd chat over a cup of coffee. Yeah, I was upset.
But do you think there's a difference between being upset and finding something upsetting?
You have to expand on that a little bit here.
Okay, all right. So fine. So
by the way, I think the fellow deserves you to name him. By the way.
Oh, I have Chris Thame. Sorry, yeah, absolutely.
No, you haven't on the show though, Chris.
Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. Chris Thame was blooming brilliant. He was.
Well, Fat Scotty's agreeing with you here. You obviously worked with him.
Yeah, I didn't actually know that Scotty knew him. So he says that Chris was a genius at the Wireless Group, pioneering much of the pandemic tech and network tech that we took for granted. Everyone at Wireless Group, News UK, of him. I think you mean knows it or knew of him. Tragic loss to the industry. Couldn't agree more. And I'm still in such disbelief that I'm sitting here talking about him like this. It's just, how can it be that it's past tense? It doesn't make sense.
Well, that goes into the whole thing, and obviously my work as a celebrant brings us into focus, but I also from personal things, which I'm not going to drag up now. Is it better? Boy, and this is deep, kind of, for me anyway. Is it better to just go like that? Not at 31, obviously, but let's just say a sudden death, or have some ghastly lingering illness. By the way, if you're looking for an answer, I don't have it. But the shock, the only thing about a lingering illness is that you can, as the people left behind, you can prepare.
I was going to say, I think that's it. I think lingering illness only really it sounds like a terrible word to use, but benefit if you like, benefit people left behind, because it's almost like it's not as unexpected. Sudden, I think, is envious for the individual who goes, because in that sense, it means hopefully they didn't suffer too much.
They've gone.
I mean, I dare say, I mean, how on earth one can say that about this particular instance? I don't think you can. But the point is, but it's more about, I suppose what I'm trying to get at is that Sudden leaves shockwaves. You know, real shock. And of course, the younger someone is as well, it's even more shocking.
Totally.
But look, let's just say that what I was saying before about whether or not you find something upsetting or whether or not you are genuinely upset, I think a classic example of this is when you look at, and you sort of mentioned it just now about the whole pity bandwagon. So when you have an individual who looks at a situation and then starts saying, I'm in deep shock, I can't believe it, I'm devastated, blah, blah, blah. But what they're actually doing is that they're using a terrible situation for their own, if you like, ego massaging.
It's their own aggrandizement.
That's what
absolutely. So, you know, a classic example of that would have been surrounding, oh, gracious me, the presenter of Love Island who died. Is it Caroline Flack?
Yeah, Caroline Flack.
Yeah. So when Caroline Flack died, a number of people I remember sort of saying, you know, jumping on the old social media saying how devastated they were, they can't get over it. But sorry, with respect,
I wasn't devastated. I didn't know her. Shame, horrible, but I didn't know her.
It's very sad. But please don't say you're devastated, for crying out loud, because that is something that really only the family and friends of Caroline Flack had the right to say that, because that's what's devastating, is because someone who is a very big part of their lives has suddenly gone from their lives. That's devastation. Devastation is not reading it on some pithy website for 2 seconds, retweeting it or reposting or whatever the bloody expression is, excuse my French, and then saying, I'm devastated. No, you're not. You're upset. You find it upsetting, maybe, but for goodness sake, it's that
you can find it.
Why I struggle with the difference.
You are perfectly entitled to find anything upsetting. You are. Anyone can say I'm upsetting, but
to start garnering sympathy.
Well, this is the whole basis of social media. It makes me laugh. Some couples split up. I'd never heard of them, and I just went, who? And the news was pumping this crap out yesterday, like it was a big deal. What am I supposed? I've never met these people. I don't know these people. I have no idea who the hell they are. There's some, sort of reality people, and they've split up. I don't give a shit. Don't want to be rude. Nothing to do with me. They don't know me. They couldn't care less what happens to me. I don't care what happens to them. You know, if they get run over by a truck, I'd be, that's horrible. But they've split up. Okay. And what? What are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do about it? And the other thing, of course, the way you react is, what are you supposed to do about it? What are you supposed to do? You can feel upset. You work with this guy, Scott Lyons, Fat Scotty as he calls himself, work with this guy. I'd never met him. So, yes, it's ghastly that anybody at 31 who is so talented, I can take that out of parentheses, anyone at 31 gets killed in a road accident. Gosh, I'm devastated. I never met the fellow. And that's not being callous, that's just being honest about it.
Well, it's being more true
but
to
I understand when you work with people.
Because let's be honest, if you were to say devastated, I'd find that harder to believe.
Well, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, but we're all supposed. I mean, it almost goes back to the Princess Di. I hate to say this, but the nation became. I'm picking my words carefully. Hysterical when Diana died. The nation was hysterical. Horrible. Of course it was horrible because it was so unexpected, but it wasn't a personal tragedy.
No, but I think that with something like that, when you...
Everybody jumped on that.
No, I know, but I think with someone like Princess Diana, though, the slight difference with that is when you have someone who is, if you like, a figurehead of the nation, and someone who was so entrenched in British life and British identity that somehow the people probably did feel that loss because they realized that a massive part of their country's identity had suddenly gone. You know, for goodness sake, it wasn't that long previously. Obviously, we knew that she wouldn't be after her and the then Prince of Wales divorced. But at one stage, everyone widely anticipated she would be queen one day, you know, and I suppose that sort of from that perspective, it's the same kind of way that, you know, I've never met Princess Catherine, but my goodness me, when I found out that she had cancer, I just thought, oh no, please not again. Let's not lose another Princess of Wales, for goodness sake.
I agree. I absolutely agree. But that's on a human level. You can be upset on a human level. You wouldn't wish that, with a few exceptions, on anybody. You wouldn't wish cancer on anyone, especially someone we know with young kids and all the rest. Of course you wouldn't, but you can't make it your personal grief because it's not about you. Does that make sense? I'm not being callous about it. Of course, as one human to another, you can say that's horrible. For a woman, young, beautiful, everything to live for. Let's hope, you know, it all works out well. That's what we'd like. That's what the future of the country would like. But it's not a personal tragedy to us.
And therein lies the difference, I suppose. That's what I'm trying to get at, is I think as long as people distinguish the difference between personal tragedy and something that they find deeply tragic or upsetting. But it's where, as I say, for me, when you have individuals, and there are those out there, and I'm certainly, by the way, not suggesting anyone I know is doing this with this colleague of mine who we lost this week. You know, it's not that it's just something very unflattering and really inappropriate to use that situation for your own emotional benefit or your own emotional needs. In other words, someone sort of saying, you know, oh, I'm so sorry, you know, this must be terrible for you, that kind of business.
Oh, I hate that. I hate that. And go, you didn't know the people. You don't know me that well. So just dial it down a bit. I'm sorry. I know that sounds pretty hardcore, but, oh, Phil, you must be, are you okay? And all this crap. Jesus. There's an element of caring, and caring is always good in a brutal, grim, horrible world getting more ghastly by the day. But it's when that caring is really about the person who's pretending, that's where it becomes very dicey. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so, personally.
You know, it's let me put myself back in the spotlight. I've been out the spotlight for 10 seconds. Oh, Phil, you.
But that's kind of it, isn't it? You just know that's what's at the core of it.
Of course you do.
Being terrified that the spotlight's not on that individual, and that's what they're using this kind of situation to their advantage. Of course
it is. I mean, it's always funny. It makes me laugh. Well, makes me wryly laugh on social media when you do a post about something. And I did a stupid thing about toast. And that's lovely. People giving opinions on toast. Yeah, because I was asking for that. But if you do something else, which is quite personal to you, and then people just want to show how clever they are about whatever the situation is. Not if it's a jokey thing. I'm not talking about that. It's extraordinary. Or they'll immediately post a picture of them with somebody. And you go, oh, just stop. Just stop. Please. Just give it up. Right, here's a question for you. 7 minutes before the queen of our silver screen comes on. And it's a big one. You, everyone I know, were very well behaved during lockdown, correct? We were stringent.
Yes, I'd say we were.
We obeyed the rules, did everything we were told. And I wrote last week, I wonder how long it is before this government invents or comes up or decides that we have a new horrendous virus, disease, sweeping the world, and we'll have to go into lockdown again because lockdown is control. And lo and behold, last 2 days, what is lurking around on all the news feeds? monkeypox, or as I call it, moneypox, so the pharmaceutical companies can make more billions of dollars. I wish I'd have come up with that. I didn't. I can't take credit. So I'm asking you, Phil Dave, if this government said, sorry, there's a pandemic, got to be locked up, would you obey that now?
No, definitely not. Because I didn't see any benefits to the last one. You see,
you were the only person, and I'm going to say something in your about Phil Dave. Back in the days when we had the studio, Phil was the only, when everyone was terrified of this COVID, we didn't know what the hell it was, if our heads were going to fall off in 5 minutes or what. Phil was the only person who spoke sense. Phil.
Thanks.
No, it's true.
Not many people say
and
that.
I've complimented you on that many, many times.
You did.
You absolutely did. And I want to do it again publicly because I argued with you. I was absolutely wrong. You were absolutely right. And you said no one has taken into account the mental health attitude. The mental health fallout from this will be horrific, as will all the economics. And I was just, oh, no, you're wrong. I was wrong. You were right. And
I didn't want to be right for what it was worth.
No, I understand that. You don't always want to be right. There's no one will say, well, I told you. But well, I mean, I don't think they could achieve it again. I don't think they could pull it off again.
Well, you see, here's the problem, and you've got to be realistic. The fact that our country is very, very poorly in debt as a result of the pandemic, I don't think that we could afford another one. So
no,
they'd have to have a very different attitude.
They don't care.
It.
I don't think they
care.
Yeah,
but yes and no. But to me, it's too much of a coincidence. We'd just literally finished paying off the war debt, right? There has to be something in it. We'd literally not long, maybe a couple of years previously, finished paying off the war debt, and then suddenly we were just staring into this abyss of potential profit, and they just couldn't really deal with it, I don't think. But that's on one side. I mean, that's conspiracy, and I've no proof of that whatsoever. But I find it too much of a coincidence.
But it's about control. However, it is about control.
With regards
I'm not wearing a tin hat because I had 3 vaccines. I didn't walk around saying, I'm not having the vaccine. No, I had it 3 times, the vaccine. Right? And I did everything I was told to do. And looking back on it now, I think some of it was absolute madness. And they're admitting they made some of it up. The distancing.
What was the goal with regards to actually everything we went through in the pandemic? What was it? This idea of control that everyone talks about. So was it about keeping the riffraff in check? You know, what was the actual purpose behind everything we went through in the pandemic? Because you cannot tell me it was to save lives. We had one of the worst death rates in the world, allegedly. Now that could be several reasons. That could easily be because people were just disregarding the rules anyway, and therefore it wasn't a true test. It could also be that there were those who were actually not really sort of dying or did die from COVID. They just died with it, and we counted it slightly differently.
That was the disgrace. People who were dying of cancer. It was just easier on the form COVID.
Yeah,
then you don't need a postmortem. Then you don't need a postmortem. Boom, job done. Care homes. Oh, it was COVID. Boom, job done. No, it was an umbrella for a huge amount of other deaths. Plus, we will never, ever know.
No, absolutely.
We will never know the long-term applications, long-term aftershocks of the vaccine.
No, it's not possible.
We won't know that.
Because first of all, it's not being measured. And even if it was, how would you measure it? How is it even possible? So it's not. But I mean, I would say that sort of based on everything the country went through, which, let's be honest, was only really a few years ago. I think it's very easy to look at it as a distant memory now. But the truth
wasn't a distant memory. It was 2020, wasn't it? Yeah.
2020 through to 2022 was pretty abnormal.
Yep.
And then literally, I'd say the only time that it really came back to any sense of normality, this is it, it's over with, was probably around July, August 2023. So, you know, that's when I sort of say that we were done with it.
And the country, let us be very clear. Let's look at the economics of it just for a sec. I'm not talking about people's lives, but the economics of it. The country has never recovered. I'm in town all the time. You see the shops that have never come back. They can't cope. The reason that the Evening Standard is folding, the Metro is you know, all these figures. Do you know why all those figures are so terrible? Because the commuters have never come back in the levels pre-pandemic. Ever.
You need to look
and they never will, by the way. It never
Honestly,
will.
look at the city. It is a shadow of what it used to be.
Oh, yeah.
It's bizarre. It's really, the once bustling center. I hate the word bustling because it's sort of that
bustling
sounds
is
like a really,
right. It's a nice
no,
word.
I know it's
Bustling.
the right
busy.
it's the right
Doing
word, but it
stuff,
basically sounds like a word that someone uses if they can't think of anything else. But it's true. But the
No,
once sort of bustling center of the capital,
Yeah.
being the city, is now as good as decimated because people have either come to the conclusion that they could just work from home and they'll still get paid, or people have decided they've changed their careers. They've worked out of London now. They don't come. It's just
They don't want to come back. So the
Yeah.
people have left are going, well, I really like it here by the seaside or in the country. It's really pleasant. I don't have to put up with marches every Saturday. It's rather nice. So they're not coming back. They're not coming back. The people, the business model has changed. The business model has changed. You don't have to be in an office. Much of it can be done remotely. You know, my kid, well, one of my kids can't because, oh no, he does a little bit, but he's a senior engineer at Jaguar Land Rover. He has to be there because that's where that's where all the testing and everything goes on. You can't do that in your kitchen. It's a little bit difficult putting a Land Rover Discovery in your kitchen and working out the weights. So then it's interesting.
It'd be quite good for rolling out dough.
Yay! It'd be very, very good.
Look, can I just say very quickly, right? Because in answer to your question, just before we bring on the Screen Queen, you said about sort of whether or not they'd actually managed to pull off another pandemic or anything like that. No way. Absolutely no way. There are far too many people I know who would absolutely refuse. They would risk, let's be honest, the police, as things stand, are so blooming useless at the moment that I don't think they even have a clue how to.
But let us just look at it with a slightly different prism. And Chantal, I'm keeping you out of this because I know you don't like these conversations. So I can see you. Sorry. Look at it this way. In 5 weeks, we've got to the stage that I'm going to choose my words carefully because I don't want to be in prison myself. I have things to do. You can be arrested for retweeting, not just doing the tweet, retweeting somebody else's tweet and be given a custodial sentence. Are you telling me there wouldn't be draconian measures if you and I thought, sod this, and we went to the Soho, where we're walking down the street to the Soho whiskey bar going, hey, we're a couple of rooster doosters, we'll end up in clink, because that's how it has changed. And I can tell you that my friends in America who deal with politics all the time at a senior level, I'm not talking about my pals who do stand-up comedy, I'm talking about proper grown-up senior political journalists. Yes, I do have some serious friends, are horrified looking at the United Kingdom, horrified at what's happened. And we're just,
who wouldn't be?
Oh, who wouldn't be? Mainstream media wouldn't be horrified. They don't care. They're encouraging.
I work for mainstream media. Believe me, we are. not everyone in mainstream, but there are some.
But here's the dichotomy, and I'm being very careful knowing who you work for. Some of it, with your fantastic colleagues like Mike Graham, people like Kevin O'Sullivan, people like that, are horrified. But on Sky, totally different side of the coin. Let's bring her on. You know her. You love her. She is not just a rose between two thorns.
No, let's make this a Keir Starlin free zone now.
I wish I could.
Keir Starmer,
I got criticized for saying that as well a couple of weeks ago. She is not just the person you would hope would sit next to you in an empty cinema and you could offer her your popcorn. Ladies and gentlemen, Chantal Rickards OBE.
I see the crazy train has left the station today.
Say that,
why is that? Why is that?
No, actually, I'm not going to replay your conversation because I wasn't part of it. But I will tell you one thing, that my father died 40 years ago. He was a pathologist, an eminent pathologist. But even 40 years ago, I can remember him being very, very sort of overexcited by something called green monkey disease, which came from Africa. And that was over 40 years ago because he's been dead for 40 years. So it does exist. People have been very, very worried about it for many decades.
Over 50. No. Let's not conflate two things. Is monkeypox real? Yes. Does it exist? Yes. Right. Has it existed for many years? It's existed for over half a century because somebody on my Facebook page went through all the things, did the research, and came up with all the graphs and everything.
No, it was found in the 60s, I think.
Yeah. So there you go. Over 50 years. So yes, it's real. What I'm saying is the reaction to it. We've always had it. Like we've always had the flu.
Yeah.
Is how you suddenly say, it's not just flu, it's super flu from Krypton, and you've all got to wear a mask and be locked up.
And what annoys me more than anything to do with this, again, not trying to go down this particular rabbit hole, is that every single year, tens of thousands of people die from flu. It's not ideal.
Always
It's absolutely horrendous and very, very sad. But it is just a very unfortunate fact of life. If we all coexist in the way that means that we're constantly interacting with each other, guess what? Germs spread. That's what they do. It's very, very annoying, and it's very unpleasant and very unfortunate. But for heaven's sakes, don't kill the country just because of that. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk TV.
Oh, thank you. Now, what did I want to thank you for that I watched? Oh, it was jolly good. It'll come back to me. I don't know. You recommended something and I watched it. It was jolly good. I forgot what the hell it was. Don't know. Moving on.
Glad it was that memorable.
No, my head at the moment. My head is all over the place. I got to tell you, it really is bad. Anyway, so
well, I mean, you've sort of fed straight into the first program I was going to tell you about, which I have.
Oh yes, Wicked Little Letters. That was it.
Oh, so what
did I think? I thought it was a pretty nice little English. I'll be honest with you, pretty nice little English film. Wasn't sensational. Olivia Colman being Olivia Colman. With respect. I mean, I can't act my way out of the paper bag, so I could shut up. But I thought the script was okay. I thought it was very nicely acted. It looked terrific. I did object. Watch Phil's face. Watch Phil's face. Oh, good. The hell, I'm underneath the dentist at the moment. What? There's something behind you. There's something behind you.
There's something behind me.
There's somebody.
A human being behind me.
Right. I tell you what I did object to. I tell you what I objected to. Well, not. I don't know if I object. I thought it stuck out like a sore thumb. Was some of the casting.
Oh, okay. Uh-oh. Fair enough.
Because the woman who there is a plaque to.
Russell, you're reminding us why it's very important to chew your food. What is that noise?
It's my stomach. I can't help it. It's no, I said it's. I'm underneath the dentist doing some drilling. God knows. I don't know. Anywho, what I was going to say is this: the female police officer, who was like the heroine of the piece, solved the case, so to speak. I'm not saying anything else. Oh Jesus, was not Indian. There's a plaque to her. She wasn't Indian. There were no Indian female police officers until I think the 60s. So some 40 years later, there was a black judge. There wasn't a black judge in the UK, I think, until the 50s. I don't know. I actually did some research on it. Did it annoy me? No. Were they good actors? They were absolutely fine. I'm just thinking, and the only thing I'm saying is, why? Why?
Why? Okay.
Why do that?
Don't know.
Why twist it? And the main character, who was the woman who was the suspect, the terrific actress, Irish Jessie Buckley.
Yeah.
In real life, was actually married, right? Wasn't living. She in real life was actually married.
Okay.
Wasn't living with some cool black dude who saved the day. So I'm thinking, why do you have to write the script if you're going to say it's based on the truth? Why did it didn't offend me? I'm not standing here like, offended of Little Hampton or something. I'm not. I'm just curious why it has to be done. That's all.
Well, I don't know. We should try and find out, or I'll try and find out for you. I have no idea why those changes were made, but normally for dramatic purposes of one description or another.
But it didn't move move the drama. No? It wouldn't have changed anything, Okay. But I am looking forward to Keith Lemon portraying Martin Luther King.
You'll have to get rid of that Leeds accent.
And Gemma Collins portray. You can go down as far as you like. Right, what did you see?
Well, you were talking about the lovely coronavirus, or not so lovely coronavirus.
Yeah.
And that actually takes me straight to a series that started 3 years ago that nobody had ever told me about. I mean, it's been on Channel 4. It's, one of their Walter Presents foreign detective series.
Oh, yeah.
I had literally, it had not crossed my path at all in the last 3 years, which is bad of me because I should know more about these things. But I thought, oh, well, I'll just see what this is about. It's absolutely terrific. And it is based in the Italian Alps, which, of course, is where we think that the coronavirus and all those people who were skiing in Italy brought back coronavirus into the UK right at the very beginning.
Really?
Yeah, well, we think so. That was that's the sort of the tunnel effect was via the Italian Alps when everybody came back from their half-term skiing holidays.
Yeah, those middle class
into the United Kingdom. Anyway, who knows? But I don't know the Italian Alps. And this is all filmed in somewhere called Aosta. And it is an absolutely brilliant series. I don't know if you've seen Montalbano, which is filmed in southern Italy and has a sort of slightly cranky, slightly offbeat detective. And that's also,
I like him straight away.
Yeah, sunshine and good humor. Well, this is the sort of northern gritty version. Cranky detective, an incredibly dry wit. I mean, sort of Saudi Arabian dry wit. I mean, he's just brilliant. It's incredibly well written. I've watched the first 3 episodes immediately. I found out there are 5 series waiting for me to catch up on.
Ooh.
I'm going to download the whole lot for my holiday in France next week. And I'm going to tell you what it's called. It's called Ice Cold Murders. He's a copper who Rome. He's obviously blotted his copybook in Rome. He's sent up a mountainside to a ski resort called Aosta, and they find one night the snowcat is out there creating, the snow plows creating the bed of snow for the following day skiing. And then suddenly it all goes horribly wrong and the snow turns red.
Dun, dun, dun.
And anyway, it is brilliant. The characters are just beautifully written. The comedy it's full on comedy without being a comedy drama. It's just a bonus on top of actually what is a very good, well written cop drama. So try it out. Ice Cold Murders. It's on Channel 4, and there are 5 series.
Sort of like the frosted version of Death in Paradise.
No, it's
Death in Iceland.
More than that. It's the murders are much more clever. The script is much more clever. It's a good several notches up from there. And
How dare you?
No, we love Death in Paradise, and that
Death
ticks
in
the box
Paradise
in a certain way.
Yes, it makes me happy.
Much classier.
It makes me happy. I was going to say to you, because the line dropped as ever, is it Channel 4, did you say?
Channel 4.
Channel 4.
Yeah.
I found an interesting little film on Netflix very quickly. It's called Boundless Fog. And it's set, I love stuff which takes you to another part of the world that I know nothing about and I've never been.
Okay.
So this is set on the border.
Surely there's no point of watching it in HD.
Between Indonesia and Malaysia.
Okay.
And like your cop, there's a woman sent from Jakarta.
Yeah.
No, she went of her own accord to this middle of nowhere, god-awful place because there's a series of murders, and it's a film. And it was so atmospheric and really interesting to see the scenery and the just the whole thing. It was, and also try and understand some of the politics in the area. So on the one hand, it's a bit of a spooky mystery. On the other hand, it's corruption in the police force. It's just very interesting. Acting's great. I thought it was terrific. I watched that last night. Boundless Fog on
Boundless
Netflix.
Fog. Yeah. Okay. And does the title sort of suggest that?
No.
I
don't know what the hell. They just came up with it. Okay. Like they just came. It's got nothing to do with fog. Might well call it Fog on the A1 heading up to Hatfield. I mean, it just came up with any old title.
Oh, well. Right. So now I'm going to take you off to Florida, to the Florida Keys, which I don't know if you've ever been to the Florida Keys.
Oh, yes.
They get prettier and prettier and prettier. The further you are away from Miami, they actually get more tropical and more beautiful.
Yes, they do.
And it's worth going to them if you've never been. So it's a nice bit of Florida that a lot of people sort of don't bother going to because it's
lovely.
a long way from anywhere.
Yeah, it is.
But it's a brand new, expensive, very expensive American drama. They described it as a comedy thriller series, so I suppose that's what it is. Starring Vince Vaughn, who's one of my favorite
yes, we like him.
actors. Love Vince Vaughn. You won't like the fact it's on Apple, but there are other viewers of this program that have Apple and might enjoy it. It's called Bad Monkey. They've spent an absolute arm and a leg on it. And Vince Vaughn is a copper who's just lost his job and has become an inspector of local restaurants. That's sort of an aside, because, of course, the whole thing really is about a murder that has to be solved. There are ex-wives in the background. There are ex-girlfriends in the background. Everybody's got a backstory. There's also a whole thing about people coming to buy in to the local property. So there's a whole property developer strand coming out of this. Apple have only released 2 episodes, and I cannot wait for the 3rd episode. Vince Vaughn, I think, is terrific. I saw him once. He came to a meeting in the building that I was in, and we were both sitting in reception at the same time. And he's incredibly tall and incredibly smiley. I can't tell you any more than that, other than the fact that he was terribly tall and terribly smiley and said hello to me.
Could be Phil.
Nice man. He didn't have to say hello. He didn't have to smile at me, but he did. And I just thought, well, okay, so I will like him even more for that small courtesy that he showed me. Yeah. But he's a very good actor. And what you see is what you get with Vince Vaughn. You know, he's not trying to recreate theatrical rocket science. He's just an incredibly solid actor, knows what works for him, knows how to hit his marks, knows how to deliver a great line and a great look. And this, I think, has been very well put together, with him as the star vehicle. Michelle Monaghan's also in it, who's an actress I really like. And it's delightful. It's quite a lot of dry wit. It's based on a book by Carl Hiaasen. Do you know the Florida writer Carl Hiaasen, who's done...
I do.
Yeah, well, that's his thing. He's one of the most well-known thriller writers in the United States.
We now look stupid, Phil.
Yeah.
No, we don't. Sorry, nothing comes close to Harlan Coben.
Really, keep going. She may not have noticed. Keep going.
But every time you go through an airport, you'll now see a Carl Hiaasen book.
Of course I will. I've seen the trailers for this Bad Monkey.
Yep, came out 3 days ago.
It looks good. Yeah, the trailers they're pushing it hard, because obviously, as you've just said, they've spent a fortune on it, so they're pushing it very hard. It looks great. I mean,
and it's been very well reviewed so far, but I don't think anybody has seen more than 2 episodes. But what I've seen, I've really enjoyed, and I can't wait for next Wednesday, when the next couple, I think, will drop next Wednesday. But definitely worth a look if that's your sort of thing. So
yeah, I like that. I like that sort of stuff. I like Vince Vaughn. He's very charismatic. He's very charismatic in the scenes. He's charismatic because he's a big guy and he's got like a big personality on the screen. Yeah. Okay. What else?
Okay. And then I thought I'd find a comedy for this week, which was rather fortuitous then that the BBC turned up with something called Daddy Issues, which is a pretty good title. I think everybody could relate to that in some way. Even if you haven't got them personally, you know people who have. So it's a nice comedy with David Morrissey, who's slightly playing against type because he doesn't normally do comedy. You know, we know him for much more, heavyweight pieces. And of course, clearly he's a brilliant actor. But he turns his hand beautifully to this new sitcom about Northern dad. He moves in with his daughter. His wife has just left for somebody else. He moves in with his daughter, who finds out that she is pregnant suddenly and alone. And it's a rather sweet, gentle comedy about the 2 of them together. And they're brilliant on screen. And the actress is Amy Lou Wood, who was in Sex Education, who again is a very good young British actress who I think is going to go all the way. She's very, very talented. But the 2 of them are lovely. And it's not gags every second, every minute. They're not playing it that way. It's much more gentle and more sweet than that. And it sort of feels like it's going to be here to stay, because it's just the sort of thing that is very relatable on lots and lots of different fronts. and it's on the BBC. It's just started, I think, 2 nights ago on the BBC, and it's called Delhi Issues. So, and again, it's been well reviewed, and I'm hoping that it'll be a long run.
How bad do you think, Chantal, as a television producer of quite some note, that the producers have produced, with everything that's going on with the police currently in the United Kingdom, a comedy series called Piglets, all about the police force?
Not yet. Yeah.
Well, I watched the trailers. Right. I find just watching the news like, dear God, and I'm like banging my head against the wall. Now we have a comedy series, I think it's on the BBC, which they're pushing very hard, called Piglets, where
I thought it was ITV, isn't it?
Is it ITV? Well, wherever it is, I don't think the timing could have been worse. And they are promoting it like mad. And of course, everybody in it's an idiot. Terrible timing.
It's ITV.
Is it ITV? Terrible timing. Just my personal opinion. Kind of being a bit tone deaf to what's going on, but of course they would have made it ages ago before all this brouhaha started. Yeah.
I can't tell you anymore. There was a sitcom years ago called The Piglet Files, which was written by our friend Brian Levison, but that is probably now about 25 years ago. But no, Piglets is new to me. Again, I've seen little clips of it on trailers and things, but I haven't actually watched any. But I'll take a look and let you know.
Oh, don't suffer on our behalf, please. Please don't suffer. No, we're far too fond of you. Please don't put yourself through that pain unless you have to. Listen, interestingly, for once, because we're heading to, can you believe it? We're heading towards autumn. Another reason that I'm depressed. But anyway, no big summer blockbuster that everyone's like, we've got to see this movie. If you think about it, big
Deadpool and Wolverine has probably been the biggest this summer. But
iffy reviews, not great reviews. Quite lukewarm to it.
Yeah, Fall Guy was pretty good. But again,
I'm really rubbish though with film stuff. I mean, like TV, I can just about keep up with, but films, I've never really kept across them. Because I just don't think it's to me, it's been for so many years, it's just been a factory now. It's like, let's churn out another one and let's see what we can do to get it. I don't know.
Ruin Star Wars. Yes.
Twisters was quite good.
Which one?
Twisters.
Oh, yes, that was fun.
But don't forget, there's a bit of a lag in the pipeline. If that's not the right phraseology. There's a bit of blockage in the pipeline.
Because of the Hollywood strikes.
The Hollywood strikes and COVID and goodness knows what, and studios buying studios, and it's been quite a generally unsettled period in the film industry over the last 2 or 3 years. So it doesn't quite surprise me that there's a bit of a lag between, one good blockbuster and the next good blockbuster. But
it always used to be, didn't it, growing up? If we ever did, you'd have the big feel-good Christmas film, whatever the hell that might be, Elf or something. They're fun. They're all right.
You said feel-good film.
I know. I don't. Yeah, I get it. Or the big summer, massive, whatever it might be, Terminator. The big one you've just got to see. All gone sideways. All gone sideways. Everybody in the industry, because I speak about it every Saturday. With my producer pal, who you know, Colin.
Yeah.
If you want to get a medium budget film, not a hope in hell. Not a hope in hell.
Yeah.
And they're really stuck at the moment. They're absolutely stuck. Nobody knows. Thank God it's not my industry, because nobody knows what to do.
Yeah.
It's like you can't get the film until you've got the entire cast on board.
It is slightly problematic. There's one big studio.
You can't get the film.
And it's amazing, actually.
You need the money and then you need the cast, and it's like, well, what comes first, chicken and egg? And it's very difficult.
Yeah, casts often change from conception through to getting it out there. That often, by the time, even just weeks before filming actually starts, casts will change because it's an absolute, sort of snakes and ladders type thing. Somebody rolls a dice and then that doesn't fit with that and that doesn't fit with that. And then casts can change virtually overnight, which is sort of astonishing because you think, oh, there's this great big director's vision. And then suddenly the leading lady gets taken out and replaced by a different leading lady, and actually probably makes it an incredibly different film. So it's rather mercurial how movies are put together, and they never, ever end up how they started out, ever.
One of the things that amazes me, and it's my ignorance, I'll be absolutely honest, it's completely my ignorance, because I've made a big blockbuster film, is I always assume that people with a fantastic track record could just pick up the phone, hi, it's so-and-so, and they go, oh, wow, yeah. Absolutely. I'm not going to name names because it was told to me in confidence, but some of the some of the biggest producer names you could imagine, huge. And my pal goes, how's that? I can't get anything off the ground. And I said, wow. Them? Wow, what chance has anybody else got? They can't get anything off it. It's an industry that dazzles me with its complexity.
Don't you think that it's like everything else in this world now? It's just become too complicated for its own good, and it stifles creativity, and it really just stops anything from happening.
Well, yes, and it hasn't helped with the message, the message, and these have not gone down well. The message.
We will look back on these times when we are in our bath chairs being wheeled up and down Brighton Prom, thinking, those were good old days.
I'm already there. in my head, I'm there. Not sure I'm going to choose Brighton, but anyway, I think Whitstable.
Hey, not there's anything wrong with Brighton.
No, Brighton's lovely.
Arguably, their leadership's a bit questionable.
But that's why I'm not going to be there, because I'd have to whatever. No, Whitstable. Whitstable's nice. I like Whitstable. I like the beaches. It's quieter. Oh dear God! You put me into a complete tailspin. In my head, I was suddenly projected. Being pushed along. Do you need the toilet? No, I'm all right. Thanks. I'm all right.
Well, I'll be pushing you, and Phil will be pushing me. So the times we'll have happy times to come, I'm sure.
I love your perky optimism. I really love your perky optimism.
That's what I'm here for.
Well, now that we feel fabulous, have you got any quick fire suggestions?
Quick fire. Oh, I could take straight to America. Cowboy Cartel, based on a true story about.
You do your vitamins yet?
Yeah. And I have just had my vitamins. Cowboy Cartel. Yeah. Again, it's on Apple. It's very good. Dramatization of a true story about the most evil drug cartel called Los Zatos, and how they were brought to the ground 15 years ago by a young FBI agent who was interviewed all the way through this this documentary series, and it's incredibly well made. It's how they infiltrate the horse racing industry, if you like, in America, and how the money laundering was going through the horse racing industry. So it's a documentary.
Stable income.
Features all the FBI people who took them down, and it's very, very well put together. It's rather thoughtful and rather slow, but stay with it because the story is extraordinary. It's on Apple and it's called Cowboy.
They're terribly brave, these people, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, I think they didn't quite realize what they got, but basically it was like an Al Capone story. They went for them in a non-traditional way and brought them down. Very cleverly done.
Now, speaking of bring us down, I'm terribly sorry to do this 1 minute early, but unfortunately I need to run off to a meeting, which is terribly unprofessional of me. I'm very, very sorry. But
we do this every Friday. I love this apology speech because it's every Friday.
Well, I can't help it. I'm being pulled in all sides.
Do you want me to speak to Rupert for you?
I think you
want me to do
it anyway.
And just say, Rupert, make it 105 for Christ's sake.
It's always a pleasure. It's never a chore, and I hope to see you guys very soon.
Yeah, see you soon, Phil. Take care.
Bye.
Bye, Phil.
Bye.
I never liked.
I think he only goes because there are sandwiches at the beginning of
the
I has to get there.
I suspect that's exactly where he just goes to the cafe.
Yeah.
He goes to the canteen. He wants to be first in that lunchtime queue.
No. If it's a lunchtime meeting, there'll be free sandwiches. I reckon that's what he's going.
Damn it! Last. That's what happens when you're self-employed. It's not quite so exciting.
Indeed.
Oh, that's what I miss about America. Every meeting was like a 3-course meal.
Well, even my board meetings, people would turn up with plastic bags and silver paper so that they could take the leftover food home with them. And I'd be wrestling them to the ground going, actually, I'm going out to feed the homeless. Could you leave that stuff behind?
No.
Anyway, that's telling tales.
Hypocrites. It's a charity, for God's sake. Jeez.
Anyway, there we are. So that's
wow.
Clearly.
Chantal, thank you so much as always.
No worries.
Always an absolute joy. Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you for everything.
Happy
Bye-bye.
weekend.
And to you. Bye-bye. The fabulous Chantal Rickards OBE. She's marvelous. She always looks amazing. But then the Winnebago pulls up and she's in hair and makeup since 6 a.m. before she comes on the show. That's how it works in Hollywood, baby. We're through another week. I hope you're going to have a lovely, lovely weekend. Stay safe. Be careful what you post. Can you believe it? Can't believe I'm saying that in Britain. There you go. Anyway, there we are. It'll all change eventually, and we'll all become sensible again. Anyway, have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. I'll be back on fantastic double bill on Monday. Seriously, absolutely 2 sensationally good guests on Monday. I think you'll enjoy. I'll be with me and Neil, and then all the rest of the gang during the week. Until then, try and stay out of trouble. Never has that phrase had more impact. Goodbye.